Hey NFL fans, this is Gary Greene, longtime sports handicapper and professional sports bettor in Vegas for the past 35 years, and this is your Gary Wins videos, and this is NFL Wild Card Weekend, and this is the Sunday night, game 3 of 3 on Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC, between the Washington Commanders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tampa Bay is the host team in this game. They are a 3-point favorite. The total is 50. And these two teams matched up in week number 1. Tampa Bay beat Washington 37-20 in what was quarterback Jaden Daniels' first ever game as a Washington Commander quarterback. As far as the Washington Commanders, they come in 12-5 this year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just 10-7. And for the Washington team, 5-3 on the road, which has been pretty impressive for what they've done over the past years. So great turnaround there. Tampa Bay just 5-4 at home this year. So no extraordinary home field advantage. Both teams come in here averaging over 28 points per game. Very rare to see that going into a playoff game. Washington, they won their last 5 games of the year. They scored 42, 20, 36, 30, and 24, but they did allow no less than 19 in any one of those games. For Tampa Bay, they came in winning 6 of their last 7. They scored 30, 26, 28, 40, 24, 48, and 27 points. And Baker Mayfield has done a good job this year. I think he's one of the still most underrated quarterbacks in the league. Not only does he hit passes on the scrambles, he runs on scrambles, he picks up big first downs. He's not afraid to take on the opposing defensive guys to get that first down. So a tough kid. This is a team that can put some points on the board, and this could be a game that could go back and forth easily. We've seen some duds so far here to start off the first 2 on Saturday. Next up here, we'll look at some of the tape time. First, Tampa Bay plays a lot of zone defense. 72% of the time they do this. So what will happen here is Washington will be able to dink and dunk right across in the middle of the field all game long. They will be able to hit their slot receivers and their tight ends. I expect Ertz to be able to have a big game here on Sunday night. The Daniels kid for the Commanders, he hit 73% of his passes in the middle of the field, 15 yards or less. This is what he excels at. He's not afraid to throw those balls. Sometimes he's a little bit tentative and waits a little bit too long on the deep ball, although they have thrown the second most deep balls in the league. So I would expect them to do a few of those in this game against a Tampa Bay secondary that's been depleted. There's some guys in there that have not seen much action this year, so should be able to take advantage of the secondary for sure. Now, when we have a defense like Tampa Bay that loves to blitz, you would put a lot of pressure on a quarterback that can't run to get the ball out a little quicker. But Daniels can hold the ball a little bit longer. He's really maneuvering good, just like Lamar Jackson does in the middle. He's so thin. So many times I thought this guy's going to get it, and he squeaks through. And once he gets through, he's so quick. He ends up getting 20 yards on those broken plays. So you kind of you get him. He gets sacked. He's been sacked 5, 6, 7 times in games. But then other games he burns you with the run. So it's pick your poison. As far as this situation goes here for Tampa Bay, when Daniels has run the ball against the blitz, he's averaged 10.7 yards per rush. So, again, you have to get him. It's almost like suicide. You're either going to win the lottery, or you're going to get burned and lose your house and lose everything. So I'm not a big fan of that kind of defense. I think you play that defense only when you're not good enough to be able to stop teams on your own merit, like top-end defenses are in this league. And this year I've ripped Tampa Bay a lot for doing this, and they've gotten burned a lot, but they've been lucky enough to have a good enough offense to win just enough games to sneak in the division win at the end of the year on the final week of the year. So when we look at tape time for Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, almost impossible to blanket all day long. The good news for Washington is the guy they traded for, the big trade of the year for Washington at the deadline, was to get Marcus Lattimore from the Saints. He hasn't played much a couple of games because he's been hurt, but he will play. He says he's 100% to go in this game, and if that's the case, he will be blanketing Mike Evans the entire game. He's very tough to go against. He was rated number 2 as cornerback last year in the league. He is one of the better cornerbacks in the league. So if you can just get him to not be able to have a gigantic game on you and have to force it to other players, that's a big get for the Washington defense that has not been good against the run. So they have to be able to stop big pass plays because they're going to give up the run plays. As far as the situation here with Tampa Bay and Mayfield, again, the biggest fear is him breaking the pocket just like Daniels. He will get 25-yard runs. And the fact is, he goes through the middle just as good as Daniels does, even though he's not built like that. The bottom line is the Washington Commanders have not really sacked opposing quarterbacks at any alarming rate. So you have to be able to pressure Baker Mayfield into making quicker passes. He will do that. He will hold on to the ball at times. But the bottom line is the defense for Washington has been better of late in the last month. We'll see if that can carry over. As for the Tampa Bay run game, this run game, second best in the league in the last month, and this has been the difference. This has been a run game that has been very good. The offensive line for Tampa Bay run blocking has been A+, and 183 rushing yards per game in the last month. That is outstanding. If they get that here, it's going to be really hard for Washington to be able to win this game. They're going against Washington's run defense that, again, you see who my team is. This team has not been able to stop the run. They're third worst run defense in the league, allowing 137 rushing yards per game. So they got to try to keep the big runs down and just let them grind, and hope too many of them go for over 10 yards as far as the big carries go. But look, both teams, folks, offenses way ahead of the defenses coming into this game. Tampa Bay's last 4 games all went over. Tampa Bay's 12 of 17 over. Tampa Bay, 11 of their last 14 over. Washington, again, for the most part, their offense has carried them. The defense has come up big at times, but I would not be expecting that it's the Washington defense that's going to win this game. If it is, it's going to be the offense and Jaden Daniels scoring 35 or 38 to pull out a high-scoring game. Now, Tampa Bay's won 6 of the last 7. The one question I would have with those big running numbers is this. They beat Carolina twice, Dallas, Vegas, Saints, and then they beat the Chargers, who are a good defense. So that was the only winning playoff team that they beat down the stretch. So they had a very easy schedule down the stretch. And when you're not tested and then you come into a playoff game with a little bit more pressure, teams sometimes will hold back on certain plays and stunts that they're going to throw at you for playoff games. And it takes a little bit longer to adjust in playoff games just because there's so much more at stake. You looked at Mike Tomlin with Pittsburgh today. He punted on 4th and inches, 4th and 2, 4th and 1. I mean, teams just play that way. It doesn't make any sense. But the bottom line is that the Washington Commanders are one of the few that doesn't. They will go for it. And at one time this year, they were 11 for 11 on 4th down conversions. And they weren't all inches. They weren't all what the Philadelphia Eagles were doing with tush pushes. There were many of them 4 or 5 yards or longer, and they went for it, and they made it. And I was stunned doing that with a young quarterback. But the good thing about it was it gave them confidence in Daniels and gave Daniels confidence in himself. Now, Tampa Bay's defense is very solid versus the run. And what Washington has not done well in the last month is run the ball even slightly well. In fact, they've dropped down all the way to 2.2 yards per carry. And if anybody sees Brian Robinson, the star running back for the Washington Commanders, I know he's been on a lot of milk cartons. Please alert me so I can get him back to the team. I would expect that Washington's best runs in this game are going to end up coming from Daniels. He can do it on quarterback scrambles. He can do it on option plays. He's no longer a rookie. They have enough games under their belt. They've seen it all now. That's a big advantage. But rather than make a pick in this game, the line is very fair for a home team -3. The total 50, a little bit high, I guess you could say, compared to what they usually are in this league in the 46 to 48 range. So 50 is an increased asking for another score. But I'm going to go with something that I'd be stunned that this would actually lose. It's Jaden Daniels completions in this game. And the total is very low at 22.5. over 22.5 completions for Daniels. I expect that he will throw 10 to 12 passes easily in the short dink and dunks. Eckler out of the backfield, who was a huge weapon. So if you can't run the ball, you get the screen passes out. Tampa Bay is just not good at that, and this is what Daniels excels at. So even though they do throw the ball deep a lot, and I expect them to complete a few big passes to Terry McLaurin, because I don't feel that anyone in the secondary for Tampa Bay can cover him. Nobody will cover him. He will break for a couple big ones. But when you're just going to try to grind out a bet, you're trying to look at what situation is the best to your advantage. And again, I just can't imagine that he's not going to complete 23 passes when the run game just has not been there. And again, if you flip the run game and turn runs into screen passes, which is basically the same principle, you're still getting a completion, and that's good for this bet. So I would bet Jaden Daniels over 22.5 completions. I think this game's going to be a fun game, maybe the most fun of all the games here in the wild card weekend. And I would also lean for the longest pass for Jaden Daniels to be over 36.5 yards. Again, I expect that McLaurin will burn this secondary at least one time, take the top off, go deep, and make a big play for 50, 60 yards. I expect that to happen at least once, so I think they also will get that too. But the prop pick that I really like is the over 22.5. So enjoy this game. Make sure you check out our other videos that are already posted, and I will soon post the video for the Rams and the Vikings Monday night finale of all these wild card games. Make sure you bookmark us at Gary Wins Videos, and have a great winning weekend, everybody, and we'll catch you back soon.